morning. Glad you're here today for the training for the TNT Trek and Journey. We're going to go through this pretty rapidly. For those online, if you have questions, just put those in and we can respond to that. If you're at home, please mute your mic so we don't hear all the stuff that's going on at your house, although I'm sure it's very interesting. So we're going to open in prayer, and then Dave Rogers will have some announcements. I am Warren Krupp. I've been doing this for 20-something years. And Dave Rogers will come up next, and then after that will be Jay Dean, who does the actual training. So again, we'll pray now. Lord, we thank you for having Awana be a pathway for the gospel to go out. We thank you for the way it works with getting the gospel and the Bible verses into kids' lives and into our lives. And just thank you for one, that we have the opportunity to share your Son with others, and then we can get that message of salvation out. So we ask your blessing on this day, and for those that did come out here, ask for safety going home, and we just want to give you the honor and glory for everything that happens. In the name of Jesus, amen. Okay, Dave Rogers come up now and has some brief announcements, and then we'll get into the training.
Just a few quick words on the administrative side. A phrase you're going to hear a lot is, it's on the website. We have put everything that we can onto the website. It is very robust. If we need to make a change, Jay generally makes a change within 30 to 45 seconds for things that need to get done. Also, we do have a lifetime supply of rule books at this point because everybody is coming in online. So all the rule books, all the things are on the site. I should have no problems with that. The big advantage coming in person is that you get donuts. So we can't do that with the online. Registration is open, and the deadline is by the end of Youth Quest, which is on the same day as Bible Quiz. We do start creating the matchups about noon on Thursday. If you can have word to us on what's going on, I'm not sure who's...
Yeah, I just...
Okay. If you can get response to us sooner rather than later is good. We do take things in a first come, first serve for getting things in.
Ask Heidi to mute.
Heidi, if you can mute your speaker, you're coming through on us. Thank you so much.
Well, we like watching. We like giving it virtually also. So that if you have extra teams, we can probably put them in and fill them in. Some teams don't show, cancel late. We'll do the best we can on anything we have. There are new forms for the clubbers and for the volunteers. They have the GLM logo on them, and that makes it, the media release is one of the key things on that. You need it, if it's not checked for yes or no, we assume the answer is no. That means that we can't do things like limits recording ability to be able to put up for like recruiting and for the training purposes. We also have a question on volunteers. When you have the volunteers that come in, and it is again 2 per team, if you work with a volunteer and you hand them the form, it does a couple of things. One, it means that you can know that they can check the 3 questions, that they can actually participate. If it turns out that they can't check those 3 boxes, they can't be a volunteer. If it turns out that you've volunteered someone and not told them, I'm reaching out to them saying, hey, we love that you're volunteering, and they're going, who dis? And that's not the position you want me to be in. I was actually marked for spam at one point, and people were getting messages because somebody reported me in as, I'm being spammed by this guy. No, your church volunteered you and didn't tell you. If people can come for the whole day is great. We'll take what we can get on that. And again, we'll talk more about that with line judges coming up in a little bit. We also encourage you to build out your alumni network. If you have parents that have come and worked their way through, those would be great people to have as volunteers. They may also be people that could be your volunteers also, because as people get older, they may have more time. They may still love Awana and want to be able to participate. One last item is insurance. We all love talking about insurance, don't we? It's lot of fun. We did increase our insurance as GLM. We absorbed that cost this time. If the venues start requiring that we go to having a higher liability limit, which is the trend in the industry, we will encourage you to be able to contact your own church's business office and get a rider for the day. It's free. If all the churches that are participating can have that on hand, it means a couple of things. It means you're protected in case something goes wrong between A and B, which is a good business practice to have. It also means that if we all have that increased amount, then we don't have to buy more insurance on the back end. We're not requiring it, it's just a good idea. With that, I'll turn it over to Jake.
All right.
Oh, that's
Speaking
great.
of good ideas.
Oh, that's great.
We are going to go to a screen share here, so you're not going to see my face.
That's great.
All right, we are good to go. So we're going to go over the games as quick as we can, but before we get to the game part, we got to go over some general housekeeping and policy type things that go on. So let's get started with that. So why do we do the Awana games? Here we go. All right. So it wins boys, girls, moms, and dads, their families to Jesus Christ. This is the end goal that we have. This is why we do Awana, is so that people come to know and love Jesus Christ and become his disciples. Awana Games is just one of the tools that we provide to help the local clubs do that. There's a gospel message here. I always say in the coaches meeting at the beginning, we're just the eye candy to get moms and dads and everybody to pay attention for the gospel message that comes in the end. All right, so that's what we're about here. So we want you to we want to provide a way so that your clubbers are motivated to participate in Awana. We think this is one of the ways, along with Bible quiz and camp, for your kids to be motivated to participate. Warren has this great story. He talks about how when he was in Awana, he passed the 10 sections to be eligible to be on the games team. And that was his reason for living and coming to Awana, was games. And I can tell you, when I was a kid, it was the same thing. We lived for games. We thought it was the most fun. And if you've got kids like that, that's fine. We want them to know and love Jesus. If they can memorize some more verses and whatever, that's great. But ultimately, we want them to have fun here, and we want people to come to know Jesus. We try to run as professional an event as we possibly can. We will start on time. Can't say we'll end on time because we don't really give an end date, but most meets last 90 minutes. We will conduct the meet in an efficient manner, and we're going to run it well. And that helps us, we believe, when the gospel presentation occurs at the end, because people are like, oh, this is a very well-run event. It's very professional, if that makes sense, all right? So, winning's not the ultimate goal. We are trying to honor God in, I'm getting text like crazy here, sorry. We try to honor the Lord in what we're doing there. All right. 1 Timothy 4:8, for bodily exercise profits little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having the promise of the life that is now and that which is to come. All right. Couple things. We have not increased our admission costs for people that come and watch the games in a long time. We are very wise stewards in the money that comes in, so we've not had to increase that cost. With that said, who actually has to pay? Well, not your team members, not the coaches, not anybody that's before kindergarten. They're all admitted free, all right? Pastors, their spouses, and believe it or not, they've got 6 kids, they're gonna be all in free. Who's a pastor? You know what, if they come up and they say they're a pastor, we're not gonna say, I don't think so. You know, you're like the executive pastor at your church. Now, if they say they're a pastor, we're gonna let them in for free. And the fact of the matter is, if they're not a pastor at all, they're just somebody that says it, we're still gonna let them in for free. All right, Dave, you got a question?
And if there's someone in your circle who is in economic hardship because the breadwinner is out of work, come to one of the people in the gray shirts, we're stylish, and just say, need 3. We'll give you 3 tickets. I will not question. If it turns out you can't find one of us, and you see my wife at the table, just say, need 3, and we
know what that means.
Okay. No one's going to be turned away because they can't pay the admission.
And don't bring hundreds.
Christie?
Dollars or people?
We have had, in the past, they have said that like the kids that are gonna be free, they have to wear the Iwana uniform,
Nope.
do they? Okay.
All right, so if you're a non-participant and you're wearing your Awana uniform, fantastic. But if you're in 8th grade, you're still paying. Okay.
Especially if it's
There-
Sparks Vest in 8th grade, it just doesn't look good.
There is a cost. If we can make sure that the people that are online, if you can mute your microphone, it helps us because otherwise you're coming through on us. If you need to ask a question, do the typing in the chat, and Pauline is here and she'll relay that question to me. Thank you so much. All right. So assignments, well, you know that was special. All right. Assignments of teams are where you're actually are there. Teams are seated based upon previous year's performance and club size. So we're not going to have a team that just runs over everybody like a freight train against a team that's never been there before. Also, each team, not each church, each team needs to supply 2 volunteers. And we always need line judges. Line judges will get trained, they know what they're doing, but we always need line judges. Each of your volunteers has to have that sheet filled out. The sheets are online. Each coach also needs to have the day of event or volunteer information sheet filled out, because people that are physically on the floor all will have signed that sheet, so we're trying to protect ourselves legally. New location, we're at Aurora Christian. We've been at Westminster now for a few years. We've actually been growing in size, which is fantastic. We're not back to the place where we were when we were in Lions, where we had 4 circles and we ran all day long, but our numbers are up, and in Aurora Christian, we can fit in 3 circles there. It'll help the event to not be quite as crowded on a circle with a bigger gym for us. Oh, that's special. For some reason it's not, oh. Okay. So TNT starts at 9, Sparkies are at noon, and then at 2:30, Trek Journey is running. We are going to fill up the first TNT session first, so don't be requesting afternoon. For that, we are going to fill up the morning session with TNT teams. Once we've got 3 circles filled with 2 flights, at that point, if we have more teams, we'll make the decision whether or not we're going to add a circle for TNT in the afternoon. But right now, the afternoon is Trek Journey, and we'll have 2 circles for that. That's the plan right now. Any questions on that? Good? All right. Oh, and it's March 14th. For some reason, it wasn't doing that in the Sparky one. All right. The divisions we're going to be having. Division 2 and 4 are for TNT. Division 2 is a smaller team of 5 to 6 players.
Division 4 is a smaller team.
Division 4, oh, wow, thank you so much. Division 4 is the smaller team, 5 to 6 players. Division 2 is the 10 to 12 players. And Trek Journey, the teams are 10 to 14 players, all right? Division 4 for TNT is really intended for smaller clubs, or fact of the matter is, if you can't field a team of the 10 players, that's fine. If you're a large program, we'll still take a Division 4 team. Any questions on that?
So if you had 12 6th graders, you could have 2 Division 4 teams, not what you want, but you could if you had to. We don't.
Yes, you could. So that's the beauty of TNT Division 4. There are no age restrictions there. And the age restrictions also, or the grade restriction, I'm sorry, not age restrictions, don't go showing up with 16-year-olds for Division 4, but it's the grade restrictions. So before, if it's a Division 2 team, basically half your team is younger and half your team is older, between 3rd, 4th grade, 5th, and 6th. With Division 4, if all you've got is 6th graders, you can show up with 6th graders. But don't show up with a Division 2 team of 3rd graders and then have a Division 4 team where you put all your 6th graders on it. Does that make sense? We want you to be fair. As my wife says, you need to be able to pray. All right, so policies we got here. 2 coaches allowed per team. I know the rule book says for Division 4, 1 coach. If you've got 2, you've got 2. That's fine. Coaches are not allowed at any time into the playing area, into the square, the circle square. That makes sense. In tug of war for TNT is the only time a coach can enter the playing area, and that is to cheer their team on. They can, and when we get to that game, we'll have a little image of that, and I can show you where, we'll show you where you can stand there, but you're not allowed in there. Spectators are never allowed inside the roped off area. That is because the only people in the playing area are coaches who have been signed the event form and the personnel that run the event. So moms and dads have not signed the form, so they shouldn't be walking on the floor. That's a safety thing. Dave, you can say something?
Yeah, if it turns out you have a special needs child who needs to have a one-on-one aid, we don't count that as one of the coaches. That we will want to encourage anybody who can to come up to there. We have, if it turns out that you need to have something else coming up to there because of a special need, that's great. 1 second. And then the other thing too is that photographers need to stay outside the circle. That includes before the games. So if you want to come up there and go, hi, I want to walk in here and get this picture on my phone. If I'm there, I will be happy to take the picture with your phone so you have it on your things. That doesn't mean you walk onto the floor. For one thing, one particular section I had to clean off 3 times because they had parents walking in, dumping dirt on the floor. It also meant that when they came in, people on the other side said, oh, they're coming in, we can come in too. And I understand all the things with photography. I've got a camera here. If you see my camera bag, people look at that one, how much you waste on that one? But yeah, it's one of those things that we will do the best we can to get you the picture, but your picture is not the first reason we're here.
Okay. All right, so some other policies that we've got. So players and coaches not participating in that actual event or that game must stay behind their team color line. All right, coaches, you can be standing on your line if you want, but your players cannot. It blocks moms and dads from being able to see. Last year when I was the announcer, I had kids continually standing in front of me and blocking my view of the circle as the announcer so that I couldn't see the circle directors to know when to start some of the games. So players, if you're not participating in the event, need to be sitting down. Contested calls. Line judges and circle directors are well trained, but we're human. Occasionally we make mistakes. If we do, point it out to us. We can talk about it with you, but we're going to do it in a kind spirit with a big smile on our face, right? And make sure we're honoring the Lord when we're doing that.
Will the coaches be supplied with a red flag?
That's only for video review. We don't have video review.
Yeah, the media review, we're working on that. I tell you, I'm thinking we'll have that in about 2090, something like that. I'll be long gone by that point. All right, so we have a chain of command. All right, your players talk to you as the coach. All right, coaches, you talk to your line judge. The line judge then comes out and talks to the circle director. Circle director then goes to the event coordinator. Dave's the event coordinator. It stops with Dave. All right, but I'm going to tell you, very rarely does it go beyond the circle director. So if you know the circle director personally, and they're your spouse, or they're somebody that works in your club, or whatever, it doesn't mean you as a coach get to walk out there and talk directly to them and bypass your line judge, okay? You talk to your line judge, and